Hi, guys. Welcome to Bougie and Bagged. I'm so excited. Let me just start from the beginning because I haven't recorded in so long and I miss you guys. Welcome to Bougie and Bagged podcast, where confidence meets real life with an ostomy. I'm your host, Naylee, and this space is for real conversations about chronic illness, body image, relationships, and living boldly, bag and all. So today I wanted to talk about where Bougie and Bagged came from and just kind of like where I started. So Bougie and Bagged came from me realizing that I had worked so hard before my bag to boost my confidence, really fixate on losing the weight, right? And feeling confident post baby, post surgery, and all that stuff. I really was struggling and sometimes still do. So I just really wanted to create a space where women with ostomies have a place to go where they feel understood and they feel seen because ostomies, it's always very medical, And when you wake up with an ostomy, you don't realize that in a few weeks, when you're recovered and things like that, you're gonna feel very different. And part of that that's gonna creep in is feeling very not confident because you're trying to figure it out again and you're trying to figure out your body again. So I just wanted a place where we could collectively be and talk and just understand each other on a different level. We all deal with so many different illnesses and like reasons why we got the ostomy. And I felt like we needed a community and we needed a place that we could talk about it. So that is where this comes from, Bougie and Bagged. And I'm just really excited. But let me just tell you a little bit about before my ostomy. So before my ostomy, I gave birth really early. I had a 28-weeker. And my water broke at 14 weeks. And I lived in the hospital for a year. My daughter did also. Thank God she's here. We had a really bumpy roller coaster. Endometriosis had been a part of my life since I was 15 years old. I went on birth control. I did the shot. I did so much. Can't even. I've probably tried every single birth control there was, especially at the time. My husband and I met in high school and we're still together today. And we genuinely knew we wanted kids. I wanted 7 when we met. He was like, no. Then realizing what the endo was, how bad it was, we realized like that wasn't going to be an option anyways, having more than probably 2, right? So we were like, okay, let's just start early. We had bought a house. We were living life. We were working and we started trying to have a kid. And so when we were doing that, it was about 2 years, nothing happened. We were doing a lot. I got a couple of cleanouts with my endo. And then finally, after some medication rounds and cleanouts and a very painful like tubal procedure, I was able to get pregnant. We were so excited. Now, around that time, I was taking finals. My mom had a stroke and my grandmother passed away. So it was a lot happening at one time. And I was just very stressed out. I ended up having something called PPROM, which, if you don't know, it's a premature rupture of the membranes. So basically, my water broke super early, you guys, like super early, 14 weeks. Okay. You're supposed to be like safe area is 12 weeks. So I was 2 weeks after that is when my water broke. And I called my doctor when it happened. And she's like, oh, you probably just peed a little. Peed a little. Are you crazy? At 14 weeks? What? So I believed her because I had never had a baby before. My mom just had a stroke. So I don't know what to do. So I just went along with it. I had a fetal Doppler at home, so I checked her heartbeat. She was good. I was like, okay, cool. We're just going to go with it. Well, at 18 weeks, when I went to go see her, I was told in a very, very rude way that I needed to get an abortion, which I didn't. And that's a whole other story. And I don't want to get necessarily completely into that. But she's here. She's beautiful. We lived a whole life in the NICU and a whole life in the hospital. We sold our house. There was so much in between all of that. I have a lot of life that I've lived. And so I was really battling endo after, and I had hysterectomy post birth. They thought it was cancer. It ended up being endometriosis and adenomyosis inside my uterus. So I woke up without an ostomy. Well, my endo was stage 4 and it was so bad. It was not cancer. It was stage 4 endometriosis. That was literally just feasting on my insides, basically. That is where the whole journey started. Like, they really realized that the endo had gotten so bad. It fused 2 of my organs together and they realized how bad it was. So they had to clean up a lot and then 2 years later, I started getting into a lot of pain again, and it was just agonizing and I could barely function. It was just so bad, and I was running a business at the time. I was running my coffee business, coffee trailer at the time. So not only am I trying to help my daughter who's on oxygen and like all of this stuff, trying to get her to learn how to eat and breathe on her own and all the things, but I was also trying to run a business because I knew I couldn't go back to work because I had a baby to take care of. So my husband, of course, working through all this, like he's there, supportive, amazing. And then I was like, you know what? Like this is bad. Like everything is bad. I need a new doctor because nobody's listening to me. I went to a new doctor. He got me in. I ended up having a CT or an MRI. I was one of those where they put your whole body in, right? And I don't like those. I have so much anxiety and I was freaking out. I ended up actually throwing up, but that's beside the point. I ended up getting this and they were like, yo, your colon is literally starting to fuse with your bladder. 1, 2, your endo looks like it's starting to go inside your colon, which I was having a lot of issues going to the bathroom and literally could not go. So my belly would be very distended and all that. Anyways, I ended up having to get surgery. So they cleaned up they cleaned up the endo, and I woke up with an ostomy. They took a lot of my colon and part of my large intestine out because that's how bad the endo was. So that started the journey of having an ostomy. Well, during that time, I was really focusing on myself. I was really focusing on health and wellness and just taking care of my body more. And I was like, you know what? Even with an ostomy, I'm not gonna change that, right? I was running. I am still running. I ran my first K and I was like, oh my gosh, like I had never had that much energy. Every time I ran, it was painful. It was so painful. And I'm like, what is happening? This is crazy. I had so much more energy with the ostomy. And I'm like, what is going on? So I kept going, and literally it was the best part, I think, of having the ostomy is realizing like, yeah, the recovery sucks, but this is pretty like awesome. Like I feel better. But then my surgeon was like, hey, you can reverse. So my husband and I talked for a while because I had the ostomy for probably a year, I would say. And my husband and I were talking and he's like, I feel like I don't want you to do it because you're a different person right now. And I was very happy and I was outgoing again and I felt like myself again. But we also talked and we were like, well, if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it. I feel like down the line, I might regret it. So little old me decided to get another surgery in reverse. Well, literally, I got the surgery and guess what, you guys? It was so bad. It was so bad. I didn't leave the hospital for a week. They probably would have kept me longer. I was literally just wanting to go home. And I couldn't go to the bathroom. Nothing was coming out again. And we were just really, I was going through it. And then weeks go by. I stopped running. I felt horrible. My body was retaining so much fluid. We didn't understand what was going on. The connection was fine. And my surgeon was like, I think it might be more endo. Like, I don't know. So I was like, look, I am in like agonizing pain right now. Like he's like, yeah, you look like a different person. In my stomach was distended again. It was just a lot. We had talked and he's like, okay, like, let's look. So I had endo again. Like I had more endo. It was just an issue and I needed to get an ostomy again. At this point, I then told him like, I don't think I want to go back. Like if that's an option down the road, I don't think I want to do it. Like Like if that's an option down the road, I don't want to do it. I would rather just live my life, have the energy, feel good, and I will deal with the endo after. But like, I can't do this. I need to be able to get up. I need to be able to be there for my kids. Like I could not handle it anymore. At that point, it had been, 5 years of dealing with it. And then even before I was dealing with the endo. So it was just like a lot. And so I chose to decide, I decided to not get a reversal. Anyways, reversal is for me and my doctor, it's really not even an option because we know what's going to happen if I get a reversal. So the plan is not to have a reversal. We've talked about it, even having the prolapse, like the option isn't to reverse. It's to see what we can do to fix it because literally my whole life, like I had I didn't have a life. Like I literally had no life at all. And I need it. Okay. So anyways, that is life. And then I had my ostomy, and then I got the reversal, and then I got the ostomy again. And so I've had the ostomy for a year now. Yes, a year. And I think a little over a year, actually. And it's been great. I mean, there are moments where it's hard, especially having a prolapse. There are moments, but I have had it before. I knew what it was. Like, it wasn't, it wasn't anything that I didn't already know, especially for the second time around. The first time around, not so much. But no matter what, I think both times, though, I went through mentally trying to understand how to love my body again. How was I going to be beautiful with this ostomy? So that is what led me to getting on TikTok and like getting to be a part of a group that like I could hopefully find and like reach out to people who were like me. And that's what I did. And I have curated an ostomy group on my page. And I literally love every single person on there. Everyone is so supportive. And I'm very thankful because honestly, I don't think I would have been able to get through it without them because they gave me confidence and they gave me tips and tricks, and we were both just like going back and forth, and everyone was so ready to help each other out in the comments, and I love that so much. And then I just started to sit and I started to ponder and I started to realize like what I was being called to do, and I felt this just urge for Bougie and Bagged. And I had already said the saying before on my TikTok in my bio as well as on my Instagram in my bio, and I had gotten many comments about it. I would flip them back and forth. I would say bagged and bougie, like, bad and bougie. And then I would flip it, bougie and bagged because I'm bougie and I'm bagged. Like my bag doesn't define me. I think one of the hardest parts is sometimes when my bag fills up and you can see the bulge. Nobody else really sees the bulge. Nobody sees the bulge. But to me, everyone sees the bulge. So that was a real big struggle of mine in the beginning. But hey, we're working through it. Okay, we're working through it. It was during this time, right, of like trying to figure out the bag and all that stuff and trying to like just post and like really finding the community. I was going through a lot mentally as well. I was trying to figure out how to love myself, like I said, but I was also trying to figure out like I was worried about what other people thought of me. And a lot of people don't know what ostomies are. And it's really sad, actually. But a lot of people don't know what it is. And I was just really self-conscious. I was just overthinking everything. And mentally, I was drowning. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say it was pretty. Post-surgery was rough. And I will have my husband on to like attest to this and talk to you guys about his experience with somebody who has endo and who has had to have a bag. It's rough. And mentally, I was in a very dark place at the time. And I really needed the community, and that is TikTok, and that is Bougie and Bagged. Like that's where it comes from. So yeah. And then randomly one day, I was like, you know what? Why? I seen brand trips happening, and I'm like, okay, I never see brand trips, girls on brand trips who have like ostomies and who have chronic illnesses and stuff like that. Like I know that there probably is. Don't come for me. But I have not seen an ostomy girly on there. And I'm like, you know what? What would be so awesome to have a brand trip that's specifically geared towards ostomates, women ostomates, and have it very intimate. But also, of course, we're all going to do social media. We're all going to make content and make it a brand trip. Like make it where it's a curated retreat. And so that is like, I started pitching the idea, and I'm still pitching the idea right now. But it's literally been, that is what I wanted, a place where we can feel comfortable talking about being a mom and having a bag and feeling confident and feeling sexy and beautiful and like in bathing suits, what would we do? And like getting it wet, what would we do? Like so many things that we could just talk about and everyone understands. That's the difference, right? When you go in public, a lot of people don't understand what's going on. So they don't understand when you got to run to the bathroom, or they don't understand if you have a leak and you got to just like go. They don't understand that. And they don't understand you having to carry your ostomy supplies with you everywhere you go, right? but other ostomates do. And it'd be so nice to be in a place where, oh my God, I don't have to explain anything to you. I can walk around with my ostomy out, hanging out, and I can do this regularly, but I always get questions when my ostomy is hanging out, okay? I don't have to do that if I'm with other ostomates. And it feels even better when I'm with other women ostomates because we're girls and we're girls, right? Like, who cares? So that is where Bougie and Bagged came from. I'm like, you know what? This is something I truly believe in. And then I started to think bigger and I'm like, wait, I like to talk. We all know this. And I'm like, why not make a podcast about it? And why not have those people, those women on my podcast to share their stories? And so that is what I'm going to do. And I'm really excited. And this podcast isn't just going to be all medical. It is going to be everything, dating with an ostomy and being married with an ostomy, doing the deed with an ostomy, because that is interesting. There's so many things that I want to talk about on here, and I'm just excited to jump into it. And I am thankful for anybody who is listening and who wants to join the family. And, so yeah, I just, like wanted to ask you guys like just one question. And this question is something that I'm going to ask on every single episode. So just be prepared and have your answers. I want to hear it in the comments because it makes such a difference for so many people. But I wanted to ask you guys, what does living bougie and bagged mean to you? I know what it means to me, but I want to hear from you guys. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with somebody who might need it. And I'm just very thankful for you guys and I appreciate you guys. And I can't wait to see how this journey transforms. I have so many ideas for this brand and I'm really excited about it. And I can't wait to see what comes from it. And I love you guys so much and stay bougie, stay bagged. We have no choice. But I will see you guys in the next episode. Okay, bye.